I'm Tony Kittrell and I publish Advent Comics. When I first decided to create Advent Comics, it was out of what I felt was necessity. At the time, we were losing predominant black comic publishers. We no longer had Milestone, no longer had Brother Man and other books of that nature to show or tell our stories. So part of creating Advent was to be able to tell stories for us, by us. I started the name Advent Comics because I wanted it to be literally the coming of something new. And Advent, as you know, is the coming, or the next genesis of the next phase. So for me, Advent was a perfect name for the perfect comic book company. These characters that I was cultivating, creating, I kept them. And there is a actual binder, and I wish my wife could be here because she hates the fact that I have all of my notebooks with stories in them, and I have this big binder that's about this thick, literally this thick, and it has characters that I've drawn over the years. The actual Advent Comics Bible has over 3,000 characters in it.
Wow.
And I've been creating characters since I was a kid. And it's a little quick funny story. When I was 7 years old, my mom had bought me school supplies for the year. And she bought me notebook paper and all that. I used notebook paper to draw my own comics. So I was drawing comics. I went through 3 packs of notebook paper in 2 days drawing my own comics. So if I used to say, Mom wasn't too pleased, got a little whipping behind that, but it is what it is. But the love of comics was strong since I was a kid. Titan Ultraman has been around for many years. Titan is actually a semi-autobiography based on me. Titan is a firefighter. Basically, he is a man that gained powers through an accident at his job fighting a fire. And when he woke up, he came to realize he had these vast superpowers, and he wondered, probably like any normal person would, what am I going to do with these powers? Do I do something to help people with them? And by his nature as a firefighter, he wanted to help. The title character, Marcus Cameron, Titan's alter ego, he is a career firefighter who's going through a divorce at the time I was going through a divorce. He was going through trying to see his kids' custody situation. So I threw a lot of personal stuff in there as well as mixed it with, traditional superhero storytelling. And people resonated to it. They were like, this is real. The Epiphany engine came from an idea promoted by a creator on TikTok, actually. He put out a TikTok and he referenced a particular issue of Black Panther and a particular issue of War of the Independents. We need black creators and publishers to come together and give us another all-black project like this. And he specifically called out Advent and some other publishers. And it was an overwhelming response from black creators. They were like, yeah, I'm down, let's do it. And at first, I was just going to participate, I was going to participate. But the guy who did War of Independence, which was probably, even though he's not black, it's probably the biggest book featuring black independent comic creators, or the most black independent comic creators of all time, until Epiphany Engine. Oh yeah. I think I am no different than any other black creator out there. You have to constantly prove yourself each step of the way. Every step, people look at you like, okay, little guy or black creator will pass. So whether it be at conventions to go an extra step to, make people notice your table, whether in business to go an extra step and say, okay, Avid is going to be on your shelf. We're going to do X, Y, and Z to make it work so that we are in those marketplaces. So like I said, I am no different than any other black creator out there. We have to be a little bit better and always on go. At least that's my mentality, because you're only as good as your last project, and you're also not able to have the same advantages some of the other creators in the industry have. But when I was 8 years old, walking home from elementary school, a friend and I saw a fire in the woods. So like a dummy, we put the fire out, but I used my jacket to put the fire out. So again, I was prone to getting my disciplined, I should say. So my mother wasn't too pleased, but so when the officer came, he said, "Did you guys start this fire?" And we're like, "No, officer, we would come home and we saw the fire and we put it out." So mind you, I'm 8 years old. And, basically he was like, "Oh, okay, gonna be a little firefighter, huh?" And I was like, "I don't know about that." When I had gotten divorced, it was an opportunity to do something different, hit the reset button. And I hit the reset button on everything. I dived into it. I applied to be here in the county that I live in. I applied to be a police officer and a firefighter. Passed both written tests, both physical tests. The fire department hired me, and then a week later, after I had already applied, the police department hired me. So I'm glad I was a firefighter, because, it opened up so many wonderful doors, and also with different things happening with law enforcement, I'm glad I became a firefighter. Being a firefighter and a paramedic gave me the ability to be of service to more people in more different ways. The pandemic was rough, because there were calls when it first started. We were running about 20 to upwards of 40 calls a day. And early COVID, people didn't make it. So that was rough. That was rough dealing with that. To see that amount of death day in and day out for months straight, it was rough. So that kind of spilled into some of the stories that you're seeing now. Because by me writing all the stories, it took a while for certain things to come into play. So you're now seeing some of the stories that were around that time. So normally I keep my politics to myself, but the times are changing, and in my opinion, the situation is becoming dire. And like Martin Luther King said, for good people not to stand up and say anything, that's the problem. So I'm standing up and I'm being vocal. Well, everything that I did, I made a lot of mistakes, still making mistakes as I go older. But there were things that I did in the past. Some people say, "Oh, do you regret X, Y, and Z?" No, I don't, because it made me who I am today, going through those trials and tribulations. But I would tell myself, give myself more patience, because you don't get everything right in your 20s, 30s. It took me, I think I was about 33 before I finally got everything right and realized how to be a man. How to be a man. So I would tell myself just to, how can I put it? If I could go back and tell myself anything, just don't rush things. because a lot of things that I did were because something didn't happen the way I wanted it to, when I wanted it to. So I made certain choices to make things happen. Those choices weren't the right choices. So I would just say, take your time. Take your time.